Good morning and welcome to the Saturday Morning Huddle. Week number 6 in the books. We're going to look at it all from what happened in and around Stark County last night. Kenny Roda alongside John Bozeka. And John, some games last night that were shocking, I think, with the results. And we'll get to the Massillon game. I guess that one really stands out. But other teams rolling along. We had some good matchups, some not so good matchups. But week 6 is in the book, so we're into the second half of the season already.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to consider everything that took place last night and that we're already better than halfway through the year. Week 6 always is an interesting week. It's a lot of time the first week that teams really get a look at what's happening within the playoff chase and within their conference chase as well. They start to get a really good idea of kind of where they're lying as the year goes along. And yesterday did not disappoint. I was very surprised by some of these scores. You mentioned the Massillon game had a lot of people's attention from last night.
Oh, yeah.
But you guys had a great game over at Jackson with Perry getting a win. McKinley picks up a win. Glen Oak and Hoover play a tight game. I was impressed by the Golden Eagles resolve yesterday, and the team that I'm really excited to talk to their coach today because he's coming on, but Tim Goodman and Alliance, them putting up 49 points last night at home against Salem. Very, very impressive win for them, and they just continue to get better as the year goes. It's exciting. This is where it really starts to get exciting, and some good matchups yesterday lead to some good talking points today.
Yeah, let's give a shout out to all of our sponsors right out of the gate. Without them, this isn't possible every Saturday morning. Marianne Donuts. We'll get to our sweet play of the week a little bit later on. AkronAutoAuction.com. Chad Bailey, a happy man, a Jackson guy. So, I should say not a happy man, as Jackson came up short. Looked like Jackson, they were considered the favorite in that game, but they come up on the short end. So Chad probably scratching his head like I was last night with the result of that one. Community One Credit Union, DeHoff Realtor, Ty Colucci, and Dirty Hands Excavating and Restoration. And, of course, thanks to Old Carolina Barbecue, as we hand out our Old Carolina Barbecue players of the game for all 3 that we do on YouTube, the stream, and on radio. So thanks to Brian Bailey there as well. So we appreciate all of our sponsors. And, John, let's get right into it. We'll start with my game, the Perry-Jackson game, a Federal League matchup. And in talking with a lot of people, Jackson was considered the favorite going into this game, but it was Perry who jumped out early after a first quarter that started somewhat slow. Perry was able to do what they do best, even though it's not the wing T anymore. They still like to ground and pound and mix in the pass a little bit more often, but they get it done on the ground, running the football and take an early 14-0 lead in this contest. And that would force Jackson to play uphill the rest of the night. And the touchdown runs early from Caleb Hundley and Connor Shepard to put Perry up 14-0. And then Jackson gets on the board with a field goal, and then they come back with Corey Jacobs scoring a touchdown run here, and that gave the fans at Robert Fife Stadium something to cheer about, as it was homecoming last night at Jackson. And it looked like, okay, we've got a game at 14-12 in the fourth quarter, and this happened. Jonathan Lemon, 71 yards. I mean, it was like he was shot out of a cannon, man. That hole opened up right up the middle, and he takes it the distance, 71 yards. That put Perry up 21-12 at that point. But Jackson would come back once again make it a game. And again, it was Corey Jacobs. Both of his touchdown runs of 9 yards. He showed both power and speed, taking it into the end zone. The cheerleaders are happy from Jackson. They're thinking comeback with about a little over 4 minutes to go in the game. But guess what? Perry runs out the clock, John. They got the ball back. They decided, you know what? We're not going to give it back. And the big play there was a 3rd and 9 play deep in their own territory. And in years past, what would Perry do? They'd run the wing T. They'd run it, see if they can get the first down. If not, punt the football. not with Spencer Leno as the head coach, not with Cam Trahern as the quarterback. Even though he's a sophomore, they have faith in him. And on 3rd and 9, they throw the football, they pick up the first down, and then they run out the clock and get the win. 21-19. Perry upsets Jackson at Jackson yesterday.
I think it's a big win for the Panthers, too, because they had come out and for them, they had played 2 Federal League games, losing to Lake 31-15, losing against McKinley 28-18. This is a big win for them. It's kind of a big gut check point in the season for them, knowing that Fitch is coming to their place next week, and then they have a battle at Hoover. They have games then to end the year, home against Green and home against Glen Oak. It kind of sets the table, Kenny, for them to maybe go on a little bit of a run here, especially with Hoover coming in. I think that's an interesting matchup because we still don't know the future going forward of John Collins, and I think that was part of the reason why Glen Oak able to probably keep that game a little bit tighter last night. But huge win for the Panthers, huge win for Spencer Leno. I heard you say to him after the game on WHBC that, you were with him for his first win. You were with him for his first Federal League win. And I'm sure that's a great monkey off the back feeling in a league that is so tough week in and week out. These guys know how much that means to grind out a victory. And, you think about how happy Spencer Leno is. Look at Jay Rohr now, 3-3. They battled injuries. They've been through a tough point of the season. They kind of rallied to get back from it to be 3-2. And now the rubber hits the road for them because they still have Hoover. They still have McKinley. They still have Lake coming up. It's not going to get easier. This is where the grind of the Federal League starts to get to you.
Yeah, and yesterday, we'll mention it now, Lucas Eckerman, the outstanding quarterback, 4-year letter winner, right? He goes down with what we think was a concussion, took a hard hit. He played into the first half, into the second quarter, I should say, but did not play in the second half. Carter Molman came in at quarterback and at times looked good, and then he threw a couple of interceptions, right? But yeah, Lucas Eckerman has been in and out all season with the knee injury, and he leaves yesterday's game. And there were 3 interceptions thrown by Jackson yesterday. So Jackson, in a 2-point game, John, Jackson threw 3 picks, and they missed a field goal, and they missed a 2-point conversion. So there's 5 points that they didn't get right there in a 2-point game, and then 3 interceptions, and 2 of those interceptions were turned into touchdowns by the Perry Panthers. So the Panthers did a nice job of sustaining nice long drives, capitalizing in the red zone with touchdowns, whereas 3 times in the red zone, you had Jackson settling for field goals, right? So you can't have that in a Federal League game. And kudos to Spencer Leno and his staff for putting together a solid game plan and executing it and getting a big road victory for the Perry Panthers, who improved to 4-2. Jackson falls to 3-3.
One of just 3 games that we covered last night. The other 2, one being our Friends and Family Credit Union stream game. Don't want to harp on it too much because not a great night for Minerva. 56-6. They fall to West Branch. I want to say this about it, Kenny, because we were there, and obviously I had the picture on our thumbnail this week, as you see in the bottom left there with Lane Hawk helping to lead the guys out for Minerva last night, part of the defensive team and the linebackers and such. The rebuild is on for Zach Slates, and he has instilled a lot of great things into that program. There is structure, there is excitement within the fans, and even though last night they met the top dog, it was cool to see that community for at least the pregame and within the first couple drives experience what they felt like was a big atmosphere. And, we talked about it during the game last night, Kenny, that my dad made a great point in the second half, that there's the experience of like when you rebuild, you have to teach yourself how to win. And once you teach yourself how to win, you then have to teach yourself how to win the games that you're not supposed to win and how to finish in those games that are the tough ones. And last night was a game where everyone questioned, would West Branch take the game serious? would they come in and be laser focused? I've seen Tim Cooper's teams at West Branch now for 4 years. That is the most laser focused team I've ever seen in my lifetime. They came in, they were all business from the start. And that made a big difference for them. That's part of the reason why they were able to dominate the way they did. And it's a tough setback for Minerva, but it does not take away from what Zach has done through 6 weeks. Being 4-2, Kenny, you realize before this, they were 4-94 from 2015 until the beginning of this year. 4-95 was the record. They had 4 wins in 10 years, and they have 4 wins this year. Yeah. That alone is a win for Minerva.
Absolutely. And you hate to see the lopsided score. In fact, both of their losses have been lopsided losses, right? But, beat the teams you're supposed to beat. Compete with the teams you're supposed to compete with, and eventually maybe shock somebody with an upset who might take you lightly. But obviously that wasn't the case, last night. So Zach's done a nice job in a short period of time of getting that thing turned around, and we'll continue to keep an eye on them as the season unfolds.
Our third game last night, our Altman Health Systems Alt Care YouTube game of the week. I want to play these highlights real quick, just show people as McKinley, led by Trent Hayden last night, the quarterback, threw 2 touchdown passes, one to Darius Hill right there, an outstanding play. And the defense last night, Kenny, a number of sacks, including this highlight reel play off the defensive line. And then, again, Hayden through the air, throwing some nice passes, nice catch by Legacy Lee. You might see that again on the Huddle this morning. Just a great night for the Bulldogs. 5-1, Kenny, and they're playing good ball, and it's starting on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, they almost get the shutout. All they give up is a field goal in the game. I think they had 8 quarterback sacks, in the contest. Green minus 32 yards rushing. Green a total of 94 yards. So McKinley doing it on both offense and defense. And coming up a little bit later on, we will be joined on the Saturday morning huddle by the first-year head coach from the McKinley Bulldogs, Renzi Parnell. But right now we are joined by the first-year head coach for the Perry Panthers, Spencer Lino, joining us after a big victory last night. And Coach, we'll get to your partner there in a second, but congratulations on the 21-19 win for Perry last night on the road at Jackson. How big of a win was that for this football team?
Guys, it was huge. We needed that one. We went into that game, telling our kids it was a must win. We had to find. We told the coaching staff told the kids, find a way to win. It didn't matter what it looked like. We didn't care. It was a Federal League game, rivalry game. Those games, there's ups and downs. There's crazy things that happen. And we challenged our kids to find a way, and they did. And they fought their butts off. It's a group of fighters, and I think that's what you saw last night. We were very proud of them.
Coach, being able to get that Federal League win after starting with 2 losses in the Federal League and kind of having those setbacks, what kind of confidence does that build for this group?
A great amount. And we felt that both of those, and everything's hindsight. And I don't want to be the guy that said, "Oh, we should have won this." We felt that we could have won both of those games, and we were in position at times. We just had to find a way to finish and to play 4 quarters. But our kids kept fighting, and we challenged them throughout the week. Man, how are you going to respond? Are we going to let those 2 losses define us and set us back? No. Our kids attacked the week of practice. They were ready to play last night. And, I was just happy with how we responded to adversity,
And you have a guy who responded very well sitting next to you, running back Jonathan Lemon, joining us here on the Saturday morning huddle. Good to see you again, Jonathan. We talked after the game last night. Now that you've had an opportunity to sleep on it and look back, I'm curious from your standpoint, what was the key for your team to play the way you did last night, especially on offense, running the ball to get that win?
Yeah, we knew we came off 2 losses, and we know this was a big game for us. We got to get our swagger back, I guess, and that's what we did. They came out and got the W yesterday.
And get your swagger back, you guys did. I wasn't sure if you wanted to see them. We have highlights from last night's game for your guys' win. Guys, take us through some of these plays. And Jonathan, when we get to the run, we'll have you take us through that 71-yard burst. But, Coach, take us through some of these.
Yeah, Coach, how important was it to play from in front in this game?
You know, what you're seeing here, I mean, red zone offense is something we struggled with the past couple weeks. We left quite a few points out there, and that was a focus. And we were very good in the red zone, and we were able to punch it in yesterday quite a few times. You know, and then defensively, you know, we wanted to force Jackson to drive the field, and you know they have a good offense there. You know, Coach Bardwell is a good offensive coordinator. We knew, you know, he was scheming up some things, and you know we had to force them to drive the field. And then John, I'll let you speak on that run there.
Yeah, towards the end of the game, we were losing a little momentum on the offensive side, going back and forth towards the end, and we knew we had to make something happen and gashed him on the inside zone for 71 yards.
Jonathan, I didn't even have time to get in position to shoot the video. That's why I was so far behind you guys. First play from scrimmage, boom, you're off. Are you thinking in the huddle, okay, this is an opportunity here with this play call that we might get a big one?
Yep, I seen there was no high safety that play. I knew how to beat just line of scrimmage, and I was gone. Line of scrimmage was wide open.
And, Coach, were you thinking at some point today we're going to break a big one? I mean, you're pounding them, and that mentality of a heavyweight fight, body blows to wear them down eventually.
Right, and that's what you hope for. Eventually one's going to pop. I say it every week, we want to establish the run game, and just keep chopping away, and eventually one was going to pop. With our back situation, and we've said it time and time again, you got Lemon, you got Shep, you got Hundley, and they all kind of have a different piece of the puzzle for us. And, you know, Lemon did get to the second level, man, and he broke away, which was really special. And it was a good moment, good momentum shift right there at the end of the game.
Jonathan, for you, kind of sharing touches in the backfield, how is it that you guys complement each other, the different backs?
We know we all hold ourselves to a high standard. We all believe we're great players and just feed off each other's energy.
Hey, John Bozeka, why don't we just go ahead and do it right now? We don't need to wait any longer to announce our Community One Credit Union Player of the Week. It is Jonathan Lemon for his performance last night. 16 carries, 177 yards, and a touchdown. He had a 46-yard run, and, of course, that big 71-yard touchdown run in the fourth quarter. So last night he was our Old Carolina Barbecue Player of the Game, and today he is our Player of the Week, brought to you by Community One Credit Union. So congratulations, Jonathan. A couple of awards last night and today. It's got to make you feel good on top of getting the win as well, right?
Yes, sir.
Coach, what is it about him that makes him that home run threat, and not only taking it the distance, but being the complete back that he is?
I would just say the way he works. You know, our kids and John, man, they work hard, and he plays both sides of the ball. He's not. John doesn't come off the field, and that is at our level of play in the Fed and playing Division II football. Like that is not easy to do, and that takes an unselfish mentality. And have we have other backs, right, and not getting upset and pouting and those sorts of things, and understanding that it's a team effort. You know, I would say he does all of those things, and I know he's not satisfied. He wants to continue to get better. He's only a junior. You know, he's going to continue to get better and perfect his craft. But, you know, I'm proud of him and how he's been playing.
Coach, I think it's interesting. Kenny mentioned last night that they were with you for your first win, now with you for your first Federal League win. 6 weeks in, where's the biggest growth been for the Perry Panthers?
I would just say that our kids are trusting the process, right? I think you saw weeks 1 through 3. I think I said it with Kenny the other day. Wes, I thought we saw growth. And I thought with the Lake loss and even the McKinley loss, there's always good and bad that comes from losses. And I told the kids this is one of the most. I was so excited for this week just to see how we responded to those losses. And I don't want to keep bringing up the losses, but it's important because you learn a lot from losing, and you see what it's the test of a man. And when you're down, how are you going to respond? And I'm very, very excited going forward to see how we continue to maybe use this win and then those losses and how we learn from them and hopefully springboard us forward. But like I said, I don't want our kids to get content or satisfied, and I don't think they're going to do that.
Coach, I want to talk about your defense. Evan Laubacher, 2 interceptions. Wilson had an interception last night. They got into the red zone numerous times. You forced them to field goal opportunities. What was the key defensively keeping them from scoring touchdowns in those situations?
Man, yeah, that was huge. And I told the kids today, we just watched film about a half hour ago. To me, forcing an offense to a field goal is a win for us. They're going to make plays, especially with Jackson. I mean, they have some explosive kids, both with the senior quarterback and the sophomore. They're good players, and they have good receivers. We wanted to make them drive the field. And we tell our kids if we can limit the explosive plays defensively and force an offense to drive the field, even if we get in the red zone, that bend but don't break mentality, eventually we're going to make a play. They're going to make a mistake. And I think you saw that in our DBs, capitalize on some big turnovers. And I mean, anytime, and we've been on the other end of it at points this year where we cough the ball up. But when you're plus 3, wherever we were in the turnover margin, your chances of winning, you guys know, it's increased substantially.
Yeah, and let me interject one more thing here, John, before I forget, because I caught up with you before the game, Coach, and I went out for the coin toss, and I see Preston Daisy in street clothes, right? And that's I grabbed you, and you said it's a shoulder. We'll see how long, but to play without him in a big game like that, that's next man up, offensive line. And Jonathan, maybe you can talk on that too. How important that line was yesterday, playing without Preston.
Yep. We obviously know that Preston's a huge part of our offense at left tackle, but Blake Host stepped up at left tackle this week, and our line did very well on the line of scrimmage all game.
Coach, I think this is funny. I want to bring this up because 2 weeks ago, my dad and I were out before our game, and we ran into your family at a restaurant in Lake, and it seems like they travel a different place every week to try food from the area that they go to. Is that like a standing tradition that happens? We saw them at a little Italian place in Hartville. Tell us about the tradition, Coach.
Yeah, the family's very supportive, man. They're football family, always supported, our team. And believe it or not, my father's side is Italian. I don't look at the light complexion. Not too many redheaded Italians, but they like their food. That's not an inaccurate observation that you guys just stated there.
And Coach, how do you keep the momentum going now? It's a non-conference game next week. Fitch, good football team. John, you're going to be doing that game on the stream. So how do you keep this one going?
We know it's going to keep playing with our swagger. We're a more physical team, and we got to come on top.
Coach, for you, same kind of thing. They used to be a Federal League team. I mean, they're going to be as physical as you'll play. How do you keep it up?
Not satisfied by any stretch. I'm so proud of our kids, and I have no problem telling them the good that they're doing. But there's a lot of stuff that we need to improve on. We are not satisfied, and we're not going to practice that way. We're not going to let up. Foot on the throttle mentality. And Fitch is you guys are right. They're a good football team. They have a good running back. They're good up front. They're a well coached team. They are. They're a formal fed team, and it's going to be kind of that rivalry type feel. I am happy we got him at home and we don't have to go up to Austintown.
Yeah, and Coach, I have to give some credit here because I've seen him twice now. Connor Shepard may be one of the best tacklers in the entire county. I mean, and it sounds simple. Oh, it's football, you tackle. Well, tackling's not easy, right? And this is a kid that is fundamentally sound, but he also, brings a little thump to him as well. And as a former player, Jonathan, I don't know, but your coach was a hell of a player back in the day, okay? He holds a few records still in the day. But how much do you appreciate the fundamentals and the thump that he brings as a linebacker?
Yeah, I mean, there's as a coach, there's certain things you can coach, and we're going to coach him hard on how to read his keys and his footwork and those sorts of things. But there's that instinctive piece, right? And then you can't rely on just great instincts, right? When you put together a kid who's a weight room kid, a kid who works hard on the practice field, who is disciplined, who does his job, and then you add that instinctual piece in there, that's a recipe for a really, really good linebacker. So I'm proud of him, and like I said, he's not sad. He's very hard on himself, and he's going to continue to get better.
Bozeka, real quick, though, the job they did on Max Cowles yesterday, keeping him from making a big play defensively. Jonathan, I'm guessing that might have been a little bit of a focal point, making sure he may catch it in front of you guys, but don't let him take the distance, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I just pulled it up right now. I went to the Wittenberg University page to see Spencer Leno's stats from, what would this have been? Circa, I don't know, like 2013. 111 tackles and 3 sacks at Wittenberg. Jonathan, what do you think of your coach's numbers?
Beautiful.
He got after it in high school and in college. Coach, congratulations on your first Federal League win. Now that's out of the way. Focus on Fitch next week. Jonathan, congrats on Player of the Game, Player of the Week, and we'll see you guys down the road, all right?
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Appreciate what you do.
There you go. Big win for Perry last night, 21-19 over Jackson, and they did a great job. Jackson had opportunities. First play of the game from offense for Jackson, they ran a flea flicker, was wide open, it was overthrown. They had a few of those plays that were just off the mark a little bit, and then in the red zone, they had to settle for field goals, not touchdowns every time. And Perry made enough plays to get a huge road win last night. And put that graphic up again for our Community One Credit Union Player of the Week. And it is Jonathan Lemon, 177 yards and that 71-yard touchdown. And when it comes to money, Community One Credit Union is always on your team. They've got the plays that make life easier, from loans to checking, online banking, and mobile services to youth accounts and everything in between. Community One Credit Union, where community comes first, membership open to everyone in Stark County. And congratulations to Jonathan for that performance last night, John Bozeka.
Kenny, I think you mentioned it there at the end, but the defense that Perry played with last night, holding Max Cowles, who is undoubtedly one of the most explosive players in the county, to a pedestrian night, is a hard thing to do. A couple weeks ago, Louisville beat Marlington, and we didn't talk about it, but Cam Evanich had like 1 catch for 3 yards in that game. And right. I remember talking to Coach Kappas after that, and he said, yeah, that was part of the game plan. Like the Bill Belichickian kind of, if that's a word, the right. Bill Belichickian type of attitude of like, hey, what's your best asset? Well, let's take that away. Let's attack that. Let's take that away, and let's force everyone else to beat us. And last night, I think you said it, Corey Jacobs, give the kid credit. He runs hard. He was a converted wide receiver. I was at the luncheon club on Monday, and a lot of the folks there were talking about this kid, how hard he runs, how he ran for over 200 yards in their win over Green just a week ago. So, Jackson's always got a next man up. When you've got a roster that big that Jay has, and you've got the kids to work with, the assets to work with, he can always find talent. Very impressive win for Perry last night. And it does a couple of things, Kenny. It's a big confidence builder, and it's big for computer points as well. That's a Division II beating a Division I, right, and that's going to help them to move up in those Region 7 rankings.
Speaking of Corey Jacobs, even in a losing effort, 26 carries, 104 yards, 2 touchdowns. Those were hard-fought, hard-earned yards for him. And Kyle's had 7 catches, John, but only 50 yards and no touchdowns. So therein lies the difference from previous weeks where they were putting up 30-some points, right? They only get 19 last night, and they lose to Perry 21-19.
Speaking of teams putting up points right now and getting the job done offensively, the Alliance Aviators are flying high over an Alliance. That's the best I can do. I'm not going to do much better than that. Nonetheless, we'll bring in Coach Tim Goodman, J.R. Jackson, and Cam Burton to the show. Guys, thanks for joining the Saturday morning huddle. Coach, 5-1. It's the best feeling, isn't it?
Yeah. Way better to be 5-1 like we are this year than what were we 2-3 last year at this point or whatever. So yeah, when you're winning games, high school football is a lot of fun.
What's the difference, Coach, from that point last year to this year?
Yeah, I think I'm a broken record on this one, but we just grew up. I mean, we had a young team last year. We were juniors and sophomores. We only had, I think, 4 or 5 seniors on the roster last year, and we flipped that. We have 16 seniors on our roster this year. A lot of guys are 2- and 3-year starters, and in high school football, it's a big deal.
Coach, when it comes to building that culture, you've obviously been at Alliance for a little while now, but this year something seems a little bit different. You talk about that growth, but how does that translate to the field so much?
Yeah, the kids are just bought in, to what we preach and our core values, and that's what we were talking about just now in the film room. We were watching film, and we did a lot of the little things right. Our receivers were blocking their tails off in the run game. We got guys taking on double teams. We got Cam over here, our safety blows the coverage, and he makes it with superb effort to break up a pass in the end zone. And those are the little things that make a huge difference when you're playing in big time games like last night.
John, keep this shot up here. Give me that. We don't need to see us anymore. Get these guys up here. They're visiting us on the Saturday morning huddle, and I want to talk with Cam. Cam, defensively, it's a high-scoring game, 49-34, but obviously you guys get some stops. What was, I guess, the key or keys for you guys defensively to get enough stops to get the win?
We get preached to us that if our offense goes score, we need to stop. So in that scenario, we just needed stops after stop after stop, and we just had to keep playing our keys and play through like whatever was happening on defense.
JR, you play opposite of Cam at corner. You obviously get enough stops, but how do you keep the offense rolling to score 49 points last night?
We came in, we knew Salem was going to be a good team. They're going to make plays. So when they score, I just got to go to my offense and tell them we got to score. I got guys around me. I know they're going to make plays.
And I'll stay with you, JR, with offensively. I'm looking at your numbers: 3 TD runs, a touchdown pass last night, the dual threat that you bring. Do you know going into each game which threat is going to be a bigger part of the game?
Not really. It just depends, honestly. But sometimes going to the game, I think I'm definitely going to pass better.
Coach, for you, do you ever have those moments on the sideline where you're like, no, yes, when it comes to JR?
Oh, all the time. And he's one of those guys, I always challenge my quarterbacks that I should never call a bad play. If I call a bad play, he's going to make it right. And we do that a lot with him. That sometimes our protection, we'll take a chance. I'll call a 5-man protection when they might be bringing heat. And I go, and if they do, I know JR will probably make it right. And that's what makes a good football team. We had a play last night with these 2 guys where we ran a receiver screen to Cam, and Salem read it. I thought it was almost 6 of their way, and Cam made a heck of a contested catch and then broke like 3 or 4 tackles and it turned to a 14-yard play. And the whole time in my head, I'm like, oh, crap. Oh, yes. So, it's always good to have good football players. That's what makes a good football coach.
and playing both ways, Cam, is there one side of the ball you enjoy more than the other, or no?
Sometimes I enjoy defense. Sometimes I enjoy offense. Just the way the game is going.
Coach, it seems like you've got football players. Tell me about that, because that's hard to find sometimes. These guys seem to just love ball. Why is that?
Yeah, they're not more than football players; they're just athletes. Both these guys are the starting guards on our basketball team. Cam's our starter; he starts in baseball. Jr. could run track or start in baseball. So they're beyond. They're just throwback high school kids that are just good at sports and they love to compete. And that's what's huge. When you got competitors that want to go out and compete against whoever's lined up across from them, whether it's Salem, Streetsboro, whoever's on our schedule, these guys are ready to go each Friday.
All right, so we've got these skill position players with us this morning, but for both of you skill position players, how important, and I'll start with Cam on the defensive line, and then JR, you can talk about the offensive line. How important has it been in this stretch where you guys are now 5-1 of the play in the trenches? Cam, what about the defensive line?
Our defensive line is phenomenal. They give the quarterback good pressure. They're doing their keys. They're just doing their job, and they're helping me and JR with our coverages and making us like stay in coverage and get PBUs and whatever the case may be. But they're giving good pressure and doing their job.
And JR, what about the O-line, man?
O-line's doing a phenomenal job, like Cam said. They give me time, and they're making good holes for me and Ravon. So yeah.
Cam, when it comes to those other sports that your coach just mentioned, baseball, basketball, what are you able to take from those that allow you to be a great football player as well?
Just be a ball player, like just be an athlete and just do what I can do best for my team and help us win.
For you, JR,
go ahead, John.
Same kind of thought. Playing other sports, being involved in the basketball team, being the leader that you are there. How do you translate that to the football field?
It's kind of like the same thing. I'm a captain for the basketball team and the football team, so I just got to keep picking my guys up and even picking myself up. Just next play if we make a mistake.
Coach, how competitive are these two?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That when you asked that guy this question, I was like, what people don't see is these guys like to compete against each other too. There's a lot of trash talk on our practice field. I stop in basketball practice in the offseason. These guys are playing one-on-one. Coach Harp has to kick them out of the gym, and that's what's awesome. That when your practices are competitive, you know what you're getting on Friday night.
Yeah.
JR, a couple years ago, Alliance was a little down in basketball, a little down in football. You being a senior this year, how important has it been for you to raise the bar?
It's been important. I mean, me and the other seniors, we just wanted to go 10-0 in the season for football, and on basketball, we think we can win a ton of games, but we just got to be ready for every game. We cannot look over anybody.
And Coach, getting a conference win, obviously you get rolling in conference play. It takes it to another level, doesn't it? So how happy are you with getting this one out of the way?
Yeah, we're happy. I mean, to start 1-0 in your league, that's puts you on a good track for the rest of the year, especially against a good team like Salem. They're going to be right in the thick of the race as well. So it puts us on a good track, and now we just got to keep moving on and get ready for Carrollton this week.
Coach, from week 1 to now, I asked head coach Spencer Lino this at Perry. What's been the biggest growth for the Alliance Aviators?
I think just figuring out how to play in big games. I think that was something that was new to us this year because, as you mentioned, we didn't play in a whole lot of big games last year. And I think that's what we learned from our Louisville losses, how to approach big games, how to approach people the right way, make sure we're getting after right from the start and doing those little things I talked about earlier to win those big games.
JR, for you as the quarterback, you get a lot of credit when you win. You take a lot of, blame when you lose, and you seem to handle that well. How do you handle that? How do you just let it, wash off your back and move on to the next game? Where does that leadership quality in you come from?
Yeah, I just got to stay composed on every play. I mean, I'm going to make mistakes, and people are probably going to talk, but I just got to keep thinking in my head next play.
I was texting with Coach Goodman last night, Cam, and I asked him about, why to have you on. And he said that he had a couple of really big receptions and a really big pass breakup in the end zone last night. Tell us about that pass breakup. Tell us about that defensive play that you made.
I was in my coverage in cover 3, and I just seen my safety he was a little in front, and the receiver got behind, and I seen the ball in the air, and I just seen I had to go make a play in the end zone. And if he scores, it's a 7-point ball game. So I had to play my keys and just help my defenders out, and that's what happened.
And Coach, you mentioned the experience how much of this are you seeing? It's not anymore thinking and reacting. It's just reacting now.
Yeah, and that's what that play was. He saw that ball in the air. A lot of kids, when they see the ball in the air and they see a receiver kind of out ahead, they go, oh, crap. And Cam didn't blink. He didn't flinch. He sprinted to the play. He played the hands like he's coached to do. It was one of those ones where at first the Salem sideline erupted because they thought they scored a touchdown. You see the ball scored out because he didn't give up on the play and stayed composed. Looks like JR's talking about staying composed. I think that's that growth you talk about with an experienced team. There's never a moment where they start flinching and start getting down on each other. They just say, hey, we're good. Let's go to the next play. Let's keep playing football.
Yeah, Coach, it seems like you have coaches on the field at every position. That's got to be a luxury, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, the type of football conversations we're having this year are next level. We're having a lot of schematic talks, X and O talks. It's just like we have a much better understanding of how the game's played, how our offense operates, how our defense operates. A lot of times the guys come over and go, hey, coach, this play's there, or hey, let's look at this. And they're the ones on the field playing the game. So if they think it's there, let's go with it. And usually they're right.
Guys, congratulations on a huge win, 5-1, an outstanding start, 1-0 in conference play. Keep up the great work, and look forward to catching up with you guys down the road and on the Saturday morning huddle.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
There they are, the Alliance Aviators, 49-34 winners over Salem yesterday. J.R. Jackson there, the quarterback, 3 TD runs, a touchdown pass. Rayvon Hawkins, who was not with us this morning, Cam was, but he had 3 TDs rushing. But that since the Louisville loss, John, and a lot of times you hear losses, you can learn a heck of a lot from a loss, maybe more than you can from a win. Well, they've learned a lot, and they've been rolling ever since.
Well, and the road for them is tough coming home against Carrollton this coming week. Then the big game that everyone has their eye on, they go to West Branch the following week. They're home against Minerva in week 9. And then, of course, they have the backyard brawl in Marlboro Township in week 10 with Marlington. So it's a tough finish for them. That week 8 game coming up in 2 weeks with West Branch, probably going to be 6-1 against 6-1. That's huge EBC implications. And Kenny, it's starting to take foot too in terms of playoff implications for them as well. Because, going into last night, they were, teetering towards the middle of Division 3, Region 9. They're 7th now. They're safely in with 12 teams getting in. And, I'm sure they would love, just like every other coach in the state, they would love to be one of the top 4 and potentially get a bye and have that week to kind of take off, get healthy, and get ready. That's going to be really interesting. We're going to have to talk to the coaches that might have that opportunity, Kenny, but that bye could play really big in a number of ways for teams. If they're hurt, if they need a week off, whatever it could be big coming up in the playoffs.
Let's move along, John, to our next guest. A big win last night for the McKinley Bulldogs in a Federal League matchup against Green. The Bulldogs win that one 21-3. And let's try and get Coach Renzi Parnell locked in with us, John. And I see that wheel spinning right there, right? So I'm not sure if Coach can hear us yet or not. Coach, are you able to chat with us? I don't think so, John. So let's maybe reconnect with Renzi. And while we're trying to get him on the Saturday morning huddle with us, throw up some of the highlights from the games, and we'll run down all the scores from last night in and around Stark County here on the Saturday morning huddle. And here's the McKinley win over Green, 21-3. Trent Hayden with 2 touchdown passes. Darius Hill caught that one. We had 8 sacks by the McKinley defense in this game. McKinley improves to 5-1 overall, 3-0 in the Federal League. And here's a great catch by Legacy Lee for McKinley as they get the victory. We told you about Perry beating Jackson 21-19. Hoover with a big win on the road last night at Glen Oak. Hoover beat Glen Oak 28-21. Hoover is now 6-0 overall, 2-0 in the Federal League. Jack Andes 3 TD runs yesterday, and he also threw for 74 yards on 7 of 10 passing, as John Collins unable to play again with that ankle injury for Hoover. But Hoover gets the win 28-21 over Glen Oak. Lake, in a low-scoring game yesterday, remains undefeated, beating Northwest 13-10. Northwest led 7-0 early. Joey Medor with a 15-yard touchdown run in the second quarter. It was 7-7 at the half after Alex Quire hit on a 71-yard touchdown pass to Zach Novak. 10-7 Northwest in the fourth on a Ben Shantz field goal. And then Lake gets a late touchdown. Zach Novak, 27-yard run. Lake wins it 13-10. They remain undefeated. Football North out of Ontario, Canada. John Bozeka, didn't see this one coming at all. 34-2. Massillon loses. They turned it over 7 times yesterday. 6 fumbles, 1 interception. They had more turnovers, Massillon did, than points scored, and that is a rarity and a running clock at Massillon when Massillon is trailing. I don't remember the last time I saw that.
Yeah, we were trying to remember last night if we could, think of a time that maybe they might have had a running clock at Paul Brown Tiger Stadium against them. And I can't think of a time, Kenny, that's happened. I can maybe think of a time on the road where that's happened with Perrysburg, but I don't know if they had running clocks back then. That was pre-Nate Moore as well.
Right.
It's tough, though. I want to say this about that because I know a lot of folks are going to talk this morning and exchange different views and different things on it. I just want to say the hardest thing to do in high school sports is after a big win, get your kids up for the next game.
Right.
And look, it's not like you just wake up and you're like, hey, let's go play again. It's like you just beat the number 1 team in the state.
Right.
All of the eyes were on you. You're riding way up here past the screen where people can see me. And then the next week you're like, oh yeah, here's this team that everyone says that you're favored against as high school kids, and you need to go out and compete. That's 2 things for Nate Moore. It's a great learning experience, and it's a great chance for his kids to hopefully get better and teach themselves some things from that.
Yeah, Josh Martin Penley ran for $192 and 4 touchdowns against McKinnon. How about this against Massillon? Massillon last year won this game 45-6. So, they flipped the script, Football North from Ontario, Canada. So congratulations to them, and we'll see what Massillon does coming out of that. Louisville beat Central last night, 21-0. Gabe Stouffer, 222 yards of total offense, 2 touchdowns. You had West Branch at Minerva. The Lions lose 56-6. We just had Coach Goodwin on, and Alliance winning 49-34. Marlington loses to Carrollton 24-7. Canton South 51, Orville 33. Brody Beagle, 200 yards passing, 70 yards rushing. Big night for Braylon Conley, over 100 yards rushing for Canton South as they get the win. Triway beats Fairless 41-14. Manchester 28-21 over Tuslaw. Indian Valley shuts out Sandy Valley 56-0. Newcomerstown beat East Canton 40-12. And Warren JFK shut out St. Thomas Aquinas 53-0. So do we want to try Coach Parnell again, John?
Yeah, we can. Oh, there's a spinning wheel again. Not sure why we're getting that with Coach Parnell. He had texted me and said that he was going to try to join. Maybe he's coming back in a different way. Let's see. I can't get his mic there in the other one. Let's see if I can
Pop him up. And we want to talk to him about, their.
All right, here he is.
Last night.
Coach, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. I had to switch to my phone, so if you can hear me.
Loud.
Yeah, you sound good, Coach. Are you able to pop the video up on your phone there, or are you not able to do that?
No, I won't.
Oh, we just lost him. We'll do audio then, John, if you can find a photo from Coach that we had earlier this year.
Yeah, I can do the audio. It won't allow me to do the camera for whatever reason.
Hey, that's good enough. We'll talk to you about a big Federal League win last night, Coach, 21-3. Where do you want to start about last night's win?
It was a good win. Defensively, obviously, we played really well. Limited them to any big plays. I think we had like 8 or 9 sacks, so it was good to pressure the quarterback, make him uncomfortable, if you will, up against a really good offense. A lot of respect for Coach Geis and the scheme he runs. He does a really good job. So, good job by our defense.
Coach, 8 or 9 sacks. That's pretty darn impressive for that side of the ball. What's been working so well for them, and how have they been able to take those big leaps like that?
Well, they brought into the game plan. We felt like we had a good game plan design. We played a lot of kids. We played several different packages for what they give you. They spread you out pretty good. So they brought in and had a good week of practice. And the other thing that always helps is when they fly to the football, right? So they cover up my mistakes when they run to the football.
Coach, your quarterback, Trent Hayden, how is he settling in now? We're going to take a look at some of his touchdown passes from last night.
Yeah, no, he's doing a really good job for us. His decision making has been really good the last couple of weeks. And as you know, being a quarterback, that's probably one of the number one attributes you need to have. So he's been great for us, and a lot of that's his experience is playing off right now.
Coach, we're showing it on the screen right now. Legacy Lee, your sophomore, your big tight end, he made a heck of a catch in the end zone last night. Tell us about this kid.
Yeah, no, it's been coming. Legacy Lee is going to be an absolute stud for us. He's young and learning the position and developing as a football player, but we are super excited about his future.
And on the ground, Kylan West is having an outstanding season, Coach. What makes him so special?
Like I said, he's got natural ability back there, and he's only going to get bigger and stronger. He's very quick, very deceptive, hits the holes really hard, and when he's in the open field, he's tough to tackle. So,
Coach, everyone wants to see the pups win the big games. How tough is that for you to get the kids to understand the pressure that comes being a McKinley Bulldog and wearing that name across your chest?
yeah, I mean, I think they feel it's a good thing for us because we can never take any week lightly at all. We feel like everybody is going to play their best game against us, so it keeps us on our toes as a staff and the players as well.
Happy to have with us McKinley head coach Renzi Parnell. Big win last night, 21-3 over Green. Coach, they were averaging 27 points per game. As you were studying film in that, you hold them to 3 and minus 32 yards rushing and under 100 yards of total offense. What was being said in practices leading up to this weekend, and what did you guys do execution wise to really shut Tyson Hunka and that offense down?
Well, what was being said was a lot of respect for their coaching staff and a lot of respect for their player. That quarterback is pretty crafty.
Yeah.
I believe he's been a starter for probably a 3 or 4 year starter. So we had a lot of respect for him and what he does. The offense is really good. So the first thing was just understanding what they want to accomplish and respecting it, and then went to work on the game plan and how we can be effective and putting our kids in the best position to succeed. And they executed.
Coach, I've asked both coaches that we've had on this. I want to ask you this as well. Week 7 coming up for the Bulldogs. Where has the biggest growth been since your week 1 win over Warren?
We're slowly but surely getting more consistent, and what I mean by that is, we started the year, we'd be hot and cold throughout games. You know what I mean? So a good first quarter, not so much second quarter. Now we're starting to get some consistency where we're playing a full game. Like last night, the defense played good for 4 quarters. You know what I mean? So that we're starting to get that on both sides of the ball. We're not there yet. So yesterday offense had sputtered sometimes, but when we get all 3 phases of the game, special teams, offense, and defense playing 4 quarters of good football, then that's when we've turned the corner a little bit. But that's the growth that we're headed towards. So that's good, but still got to keep going.
Renzi, how comforting is it to know, though, while the offense may still be filling, things out and getting going, maybe and clicking on all cylinders in the coming weeks, you have that defense to keep you in games no matter what?
Yeah, it's very comforting. The old saying, defense wins championships, right?
Yep.
So we'll lay our hat there, but and keep working in all the other phases as well.
Coach, the other thing, too, that I feel like we've seen back for McKinley again this year is just the depth of running backs that you guys have. Kylan West has been great, but talk about the other guys in that room.
Yeah, it's a lot of them, actually, man. Zion Culver is a good back for us and will continue to be. He started off the year with a lot of carries. Just recently, Isaac Brooks, who had a pretty good game last night, very tough runner. And we've always known that. He's a starting linebacker for us as well. So sometimes we don't give him as many carries. Shad Davis is a starting strong safety for us as well, who you'll see get the ball and does a really good job for us as well. So it's a loaded backfield. And they all kind of got their own style, which is fun to watch. They feed off each other.
Yeah, Kenny, I wanted to ask a follow-up about Isaac Brooks. We saw him last night on the YouTube game, watching the highlights. Coach, he's a big downhill runner. You get him going, guys don't want to be in front of him, do they?
No, and he's a kid that breaks a lot of tackles. He's tough to get down.
Coach, what about next week? A big game against undefeated Hoover on the schedule. I don't know if you started. I know a lot of coaches, after that game's over, if you win it, you're looking ahead to the next game. Have you started on Hoover yet?
A little bit, yep. We have this morning a little bit, so it's going to be a challenge. They're playing really well right now. So got to continue to watch some film and see what we're up against. But a lot of respect for them and what they've done so far this season. That's not a mistake with them being undefeated.
Yeah, and how do you prepare for the quarterback position? John Collins has been out with that ankle injury. He may or may not be back next week. Andy's is more of a runner than a thrower. So how will you prepare this week?
Yeah, both. You have to, right? You have no choice but to prepare for both. So we'll get our heads around it and be ready to face whoever we see.
Coach, we thank you for joining the huddle this morning. Uniforms look sharp last night. I love the black tops and the red pants. Keep up the swag to go along with the swagger on the field. Coach, 5-1. Thanks for joining us this morning.
I appreciate you having me. We'll figure out this camera soon. Thanks.
All right, sounds good, Coach. Yeah, he's got more important things to figure out than just the camera, right, John? They're playing good football right now, and McKinley off to an outstanding start at 5-1. Renzi Parnell and his. How about the first-year coaches? We have a few minutes here because we want to get in our Marion Donuts sweet play of the week. But Spencer Lino, 4-2. You've got Renzi at 5-1, right? And Coach Slate's 4-2. So new faces in new places, better results. It's all working out well for the 3 first-year head coaches.
Yeah, I think that's 13-5 by my Otterbein math.
Okay.
Thanks to the OAC for educating both Kenny and I. We need to get them on as a sponsor. The OAC, we need to get them to sponsor us here on the Saturday morning huddle. Kenny, you mentioned it. The sweet play of the week. It's our final thing that we got to get to. Brought to you by Marianne Donuts. I was just out there again this week. It seems like I'm there every week. I work with Danielle and the folks, and I love these donuts, the way they look. And then I love watching Trent Hayden drop back to pass, look left, throw in the end zone, and Legacy Lee, man, rise up and get it, young man. What a catch over a defender. That's NFL level quality catch there, Kenny.
Yeah, and fall means football, John, and filling up at Marianne Donuts is key. From hot chocolate to pumpkin favorites and those legendary football-shaped donuts, Marianne's has the game day gear you need to keep your crew fired up, whether you're in the stands or watching from home. Bring the tradition, bring the flavor. Marianne Donuts, a Canton classic since 1947. That's a classic catch right there. The big fella climbing the ladder, maintaining possession of the football while he hits the ground, and he gets a big touchdown for McKinley in their 21-3 win over Green last night. So congratulations there to Legacy Lee. Love the name too, as he is featured in our Marianne Donuts sweet play of the week.
You know what it reminded me of too, watching the catch? It reminds me of a guy that wears number 44 now for the Browns. It reminds me of Harold Fannin, which, by the way, you can catch Harold highlights every week with Kenny and JT. He had a couple highlights last week. Big tight end. Hey, that's a great asset to have. And he's only a sophomore, Kenny. He is only a sophomore. That kid's going to get better. He's going to get bigger. He's going to get stronger. He's going to get faster. And I've heard he's a pretty good player over on the basketball floor as well.
Yeah, and McKinley, right? Legacy Lee, tight end. McKinley, he was a wide receiver back in the day, Harold Fannin Jr., but now as a tight end for the Browns, and we feature him every Monday, 5 o'clock. Harold's highlights brought to you by Fedora.football, and we dive into everything he did in the game. So things going well for former McKinley Bulldogs and current McKinley Bulldogs.
5-1, just the one blemish on the record to St. Augustine, a team that was loaded with Division I talent. And you heard head coach Renzi Parnell say it, folks. Consistency is the biggest growth that he's seen from the beginning of the year. That's a big thing for the Bulldogs. And hey, there's some interesting storylines brewing, Kenny. We still have a couple of undefeated teams, Lake and Hoover right now, 6-0 and 6-0. And both of them last night had to survive. I don't know if any folks caught some of the tail end. I know Kenny described it for you guys earlier. John DeMarco's team went on the road last night and they punched above their weight, Kenny, and they almost came out of Hartville with a win. And give Scott Garcia's team credit.
Yep.
They've been dealing with tough things all year, and they play at home against a really good Hoover team. And again, they're punching above their weight last night, and they almost walk out of there with a win and come up really just short. So things are getting interesting. Things are starting to brew all across the county. Conference battles are starting to take foot. It's fun.
Let's give some more love to our sponsors, though, John, because without them, we can't do this Saturday morning huddle each and every Saturday. So we want to thank all of our sponsors, Chad Bailey and the gang there at Akron Auto Auction. Check them out online at akronautauction.com. If you've never been to an auction before and you're wondering, hey, can I do? Yes, you can do this if you're looking for a car. Check them out at akronautauction.com.
Marianne Donuts as well. We thank them. Our Sweet Play of the Week sponsor, and that play this week by Legacy Lee was in fact sweet, a Canton tradition since 1947. Hot coffee and donuts are always brewing at your Marianne Donuts locations. Community One Credit Union, learn more, live better, grow together. Thanks to Community One Credit Union, they help the community out. This week, our player of the week, Perry Jr. Jonathan Lemon, with his great week rushing for 177 yards and that 71-yard game-breaking touchdown to break the game open for the Panthers. And then, of course, we couldn't do it without DeHoff Realtor Ty Colucci and the folks over at DeHoff Realtors. You can call Ty at 330-316-3570. And of course, you can email him at the email on the screen there if you have any questions about buying or selling your home. And lastly, the folks getting their hands dirty for a brighter future. Dirty Hands Excavating and Restoration, LLC. Cam Carl, the son of Brandon Carl. Cam, of course, a star this year for Fairless. He's had many a big game this season, and we thank Brandon for being on with us this year as a sponsor of the Saturday Morning Huddle. Kenny, we can't do it without them.
Real quick, 8 catches, 148 yards, and a touchdown for Cam Carl in that losing effort. Triway beat Fairless 41-14, but another big night for Cam Carl.
Dude's putting up numbers. He's got to be towards the top of the conference or top of the county.
Let me go through the standings real quick, and then we'll get out of here on the Saturday Morning Huddle. Federal League standings right now, we'll just look at conference play, okay? McKinley 3-0, Hoover 2-0, Lake 2-0, Jackson 1-1, Perry 1-2, and Greene and Glen Oak are both 0-3 in conference play. So you've got 3 undefeated teams in conference play in McKinley, Hoover, and Lake in the Federal League. In the Pac-7, you've got Northwest 2-0 and Manchester 2-0 atop the Pac-7 right now. Triway 2-1, Orville 2-1, Canton South, big win yesterday. They're 1-2. Fairless and Tuslaw winless in Pac-7 play. Eastern Buckeye Conference, they all had their first games yesterday. And Alliance, West Branch, and Carrollton 1-0. Minerva, Marlington, and Salem all 0-1. IVC North standings, Melbourne, Newcomerstown, and Buckeye Trail are all 1-0, John. Strasburg, East Canton, and Tusk Central Catholic 0-1. IVC South standings, wins for Ridgewood, Indian Valley, and Garaway. They're all 1-0. Claymont, Tusky Valley, and Sandy Valley 0-1 in conference play.
Great stuff, Ken, as always. Saturday Morning Huddle. Always fun to be on here. Reminders for you guys watching right now. Of course, we'll have the Buckeyes on today on WHBC as they go up against the likes of the Washington Huskies today in Seattle. We'll have the Guardians tonight for you. They're still locked tight in that playoff race. And then, of course, tomorrow at 1 o'clock, the Browns go up against the Detroit Lions in Detroit. So still a full weekend of sports coming your way via 1480 WHBC. And, of course, you can listen to Kenny and JT Monday in the afternoon as they will be at Cavs Media Day.
That's right.
For the day. So busy week coming up, and we'll have it all for you here on WHBC. Kenny, say bye to the folks.
Yeah, folks, thanks for tuning in every Saturday morning with us. If you miss us live, you can always watch us Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. on the Rock Entertainment Sports Network as well. So enjoy your high school football on Friday nights and hopefully with us here on the Saturday Morning Huddle.